Hey there, Outliers. Niiamah Shang here, and thank you so much for joining us in this Outliers Edge Roundtable. Today, we have four amazing people who are coming in to share their experiences as an outlier, but also their insights that they've gotten along the way in terms of how they're able to bring that in to create more impact and influence and income as a result of this year. I want to give you a chance to get to know each and every one of our esteemed guests here today. I like the word esteemed, so just know that. But we're gonna really play in, and I want to just thank each of you for taking the time to be here, and I'm really excited to really help Outliers continue to grow and expand their thinking. Kari, why don't we start with you, and then we'll go to Jackie. If you can just give us an introduction and give us a little bit of context on you, let us know what is the game that you're playing right now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Kari Vazquez, and I am uh, a lifestyle and business coach. I'm also a podcaster and author. So my podcast is the Rebuild You podcast, and my business is Carrying Company. I love coaching people in life and in business. And I'll just use a word that my one of my clients said. She said, "You're really just an execution coach. You just get us to do whatever it is that we set our minds to do." So I just love helping people transform their lives and rebuild. So hence the name of my podcast, because I find that a lot of times that's what we're doing. We're kind of like rebuilding and trying to come back from something that we've struggled through. So yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
We're glad to have you here, Jackie.
Hey, awesome. Congratulations on your show. It's really great to be here with everybody. My name's Jackie Woodside. I too am an author, speaker, coach, leadership trainer, and expert, and most recently, executive producer of the documentary film series, The Frequency of Miracles. My claim to fame is probably that I've been in this field longer than most coaches have been alive. I'm one of the old school coaches and been coaching for 30 years. I was also a psychotherapist for 30 years. No, it was not a 60-year-long career. I overlapped some of those a little bit. So, my focus is on consciousness, helping people understand that energy is everything, and that when you master your inner world of belief, emotion, attitude, and thought, you create the vibratory pattern of your desires and for the betterment of humanity.
Oh, I'm really excited to dive into that a bit later on, Jackie. So thank you very
Let's
much for
go,
being
man.
here. And let's move over to Becky, and then we'll go to Alanna.
Hi, thanks for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here with everybody. My name is Becky Jones. I am the owner of business. It's Garden Soul Solutions, but I do business as Garden Your Mind as well as a podcast called Garden Your Mind. I'm a career social worker like Jackie and a coach. And so I'm just trying to get to a point where um, my time is I've always once I had my first granddaughter, when she will be 14 in November, I decided that my time was my most valuable asset, and so I've really up until the pandemic, I never missed a field trip with my grandchildren. So I'm looking to get back to that time freedom and how to make a living with gardening and how to teach people how to use gardening to better their life and to understand the natural way of the world. And I'm looking forward to hanging out with you.
Fantastic, and Alanna.
Hi, and thank you again for the opportunity to be here with all of you wonderful people. I'm so excited, so excited. But my name is Alanna Thomas. I am full-time in the military, and then part-time I am pursuing my business as like house leadership company. There, I do training, so on communication and team engagement for leaders. We also do coaching as well. But biggest thing is leadership engagement and communication. So I'm excited. And again, I have to say, all opinions and thoughts expressed are those of my own, but not a reflection of the U.S. Army or the Department of Defense at all.
So I was very muted there. Thank you for you all being on this podcast, it is, and in this conversation, like I want to get us started off with a chance to understand like your outlier and how you've let that shine. We're all here, Outliers Edge. We're like, how do you take the things about you that are different and use that to your advantage? Use that to help you accelerate your growth or to create more space for other people through your leadership. So I'd like to start this off with everyone here, just get a sense for everyone. Like, what's one thing that you have brought into your business or life that like actually leverages the fact that you're not like that leverages your different approach to it all? I'll leave this as an open question. Does anyone want to jump on this one first? Hey, Jack, I see you.
Oh, I was just unmuting so I didn't embarrass myself later by having you call on me and start talking. So yeah, I'm happy to start, but I wasn't unmuting to take the floor. But if I may, sure. How have I leveraged myself to be an outlier? Well, honestly, I've been talking about energy, consciousness, and vibration for 30 years as a coach. So long ago that my first book was my working title for my first book was called Energy Management, Debunking the Myth of Time and Stress Management. And my my publisher was like, "Oh, you can't use that. Nobody knows what energy is. Nobody talks about energy." And I let him change it. I changed the title. It was still a great title. It was changed to Calming the Chaos. But I just laugh now when I think, nobody talks about energy. So I've been an energy and consciousness coach since before it was a thing. And now because it's kind of a thing, people wear T-shirts that say good vibes only, and, energy is more kind of talked about and understood. So I had to up level and still be an outlier. So now I'm making a film about energy, vibration, and frequency and how that impacts our lives. So I'm still pushing the edges of the envelope because let's just say I wouldn't walk down the aisles at Walmart talking about making a film called The Frequency of Miracles.
Yes. Yeah. Jackie, I really appreciate it. I'm glad we leaned into that right off the bat because like you were coaching before it was like cool.
I was coaching before it was a thing. Yeah. Nobody knew what coaching was 30 years ago. People be like, what, you mean like a basketball team? Like what's.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, can you like, I'm going to go, I am very curious because there's people out there, outliers right now that are doing their thing before it's cool. Right.
Before it's a thing. Yeah.
They're 10, 15 years ahead but they know that like this is what their soul is here on this planet to do, the two questions I have for you is one, when you were getting into it, like what got you to just like keep being out in the world doing it before it was a thing?
Yeah.
Let's start with that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's really hard being an outlier. And I do remember that really well. What kept me going was just clarity of purpose and passion. And I really want to encourage people to not sell themselves out. I can't, 1,000 times I wanted to quit and this is stupid and what am I doing and get a job. And, I gave up my clinical license. I had a successful private practice and I gave up my clinical license to do this work. And then, 6 months later, I was like, what was I thinking? I went from making a very decent income, as a well-respected, well-known psychotherapist and then, cast into this field of I'm a nobody. And, now I'm working with some of the biggest names in the field, met Deepak Chopra yesterday, and he's going to be in our film. And, so to go from, that feeling of, and I remember it like it was yesterday, just desperate heaviness and feeling like a loser and like I'd made a bad choice and I was never going to make this work. And, to where I am now and this, happiness, fulfillment, and success. It just takes clarity of purpose, passion, and some grit to get through the hard times.
I appreciate that. Like, we're gonna come back into this year because you also have like I have 30 years in this, and I'm starting to realize here that like as time goes on, I realize the one constant is that time will keep going on. And it's like as much as I feel some way on day one, by day 1,000, I'm like, oh, that thing that was a problem back then was really, really not that much. So I love to keep expanding on that as time goes on and just giving us the benefit of longer time horizons. Let's go back to the first question here, which was around how you're leveraging your outlier in the things that you do, how you actually take advantage of your outlier. Does anyone else have anything that they want to bring into the space around that? Yeah, Alanna. So as soon as you unmute, I'm like, boom.
I would say one of the ways that I'm leveraging this space of being an outlier is doing things that are considered outside of my job description. Since I am still full-time employed, then a lot of times it's easy when you're in this state to like, okay, well, what is my job? What am I supposed to do? What am I getting paid for? And to only focus on those things, as opposed to also bringing in the things that you are naturally passionate about, that you are doing. So for instance, for me, it's being able to do all of these different trainings and go to these conferences and learn all these things, but not just dedicate that information to my business, but to also dedicate it to my team where I am. And if there's a level up, if they want to do professional development sessions, like, oh, hey, pick me, I'll volunteer. But being able to bring those things into the space, even though it's not something that's expected of me, but taking that opportunity to really not only like share that, but to expand my experience and build my confidence, but be able to make the environment better as well. So that's one of the things that I would say I'm doing to kind of leverage the outlier, being an outlier. And of course, when it comes to different things like rating schemes and stuff like that, going outside the box in that manner definitely helps me to stand out as well, amongst my peers who are also
This is
great.
Yeah, this is great because like now we're looking at leadership inside of the workplace here, right? And bringing out the outlier elements from that perspective. You also like you talked about like you do something outside of work as well, and so I'm really curious about for any of us outliers that are on the fence or just getting ready to jump into whatever our larger mission might be. Like, how are you finding ways to I don't want to say balance time. I think that's like it's like the colloquial way of saying it. It is not actually what I when I talk to outliers and I talk to them, they don't actually balance anything. So like, how are you finding ways to bring both of these things to life at a high level?
Lately, I've been kind of leveraging the different communities that I'm in. So, as I mentioned, I'm a new mom. And so, when it comes to coaching, I have felt most comfortable coaching other moms who might also have a little one in the background that might cry a little bit, as opposed to jumping on with someone that I don't feel as comfortable with, that I know would say, oh, hey, that's unprofessional. So instead of allowing those things to be barriers, as I reach out to different communities to kind of work in those realms, putting that disclaimer out there, hey, this is the situation that I am personally dealing with right now. If you're open to that and if you would love to use these services, I'd love to work with you. And kind of going at it from that angle, as opposed to saying, oh, well, I can't do it because the baby might cry, the dog might bark, or whatever might be in the background. But finding communities that are okay with life, basically lifing, has been the best way for me to kind of leverage that instead of make excuses, which I did do as well. But I'm finding my way out, and so far it's working pretty well.
That's cool. So like I'm hearing like you have something going on in your world rather than looking at it as something that could hold you back or you have to work around and make sure no one knows. You actually lean into places where like this would just be like just par for the course and leverage that even further. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Let's take one more on this question, and we're gonna change things up a little bit. Who would like to come in? Yeah, Kara, am I seeing you?
Yeah, yeah, I'll
Okay.
dive in. So basically, I think something that has made me an outlier is I want to go back to 8 years ago. Basically, I'm in my second marriage and I had filed for divorce. I was like over marriage period. And the day before our divorce, my husband said, like, would you be willing to give it another try? And I was like, everything in me wants to say absolutely not. But I did not feel like it was over. So it was like a moment of having to almost like swallow my pride, have grace, and just be willing to not just give it another try, but face the world and everything that I had thought I was seeing and was going to do, and now kind of go back on my word. So here we are, I don't know, 8 years later, whatever it is, right? Where we are still together, we're going strong. But that really helped me to I started my coaching business. I started relationship coaching initially. I wrote a book, Recreate Your Love. I started my podcast, Rebuild You. And from there, I think it just allowed me to really operate from a place of grace. Whereas, and maybe before it was like harder for me to do that because it was like, no, it's like this happened and this is the result of this. But it really showed me that no, things happen and things change. And how do we forgive? How do we rebuild? How do we heal from the things that we've experienced? And I think all of those things have kind of helped me to bring this into what I do today. And I think what really makes it different is that they'll look at me and they'll say, how do you, so I have 5 kids, 5 grandkids, and I'm in, like I said, I told my kids the other day, I've been married almost 3 decades between my 2 marriages, right? So I think I am an administrator. I work full time and run my business. And I was even a licensed cosmetologist. So I even do that on the side. So people look at me and they go, I love what you were saying earlier about balance. Like, is it really a thing? Right. And I have learned that, I don't know that it's really a balance, but it's just really like a flow. Like when you just learn to dance through life and you say, hey, you know what? Right now it's my 9 to 5, but right now it's my family time. And right now it's my business time. And right now it's time to heal and time for me. When you really just learn to flow through all of that and flow in a way that people can see you and not see the chaos behind it, but they see a sense of peace and love and grace behind it. It's just, I think it's different. At least I hear it is.
Yeah, I thank you for that there. I'm smiling right now because what I'm thinking, what I'm attuned to right now is that we never really get a chance to experience ourselves. Someone once said to me, they're like, "Oh, you've never been in a room without you, have you?" And I think when I hear you say that last part there, it makes me think about like, hey, how you've gone through things and actually how you've navigated throughout. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Becky, I want to come to you. I'm going to bring you a different question if you're good with that here. Garden your mind, right? So, like, what I'm hearing from you is you're finding your way to blend transformation and helping people move forward with gardening. Am I getting that right?
That would be correct. Yes.
Yeah. So like I've never heard of anything like that before. So so tell me bring me to when it comes to actually bringing out something like that to life, which again, this goes back to the element of like being on the avant-garde, being there before it's a thing, right? What are some of the ways that you've been able to deal with any of like the self-doubt or any kind of like imposter syndromes or anything that like gets in the place of saying like looking around and be like, how's this all gonna work?
Yeah. So, I mean, I experience imposter syndrome a lot. I mean, I feel pretty secure being a social worker and a coach, but when it came to being a podcaster, I was really kind of nervous about that and like, what do I have to bring to that? But I take that back to the garden, right? So it comes down to being able to understand that I have to reconnect my mind and my body. And I do that in the garden because I've learned so much from the garden. So meaning if I go out there, I have to think, what am I working on today? And if it's say imposter, then I have to think of that as a weed. And if I don't weed, then it's going to choke out everything else in my garden. So I consider my personal space my own personal garden, and being able to, it's like if I'm not feeling well, I learned this a while back. Well, years ago, I learned this. If my garden looks like crap, I feel like crap. That's because I don't have the energy and at times, the desire to go out there and take care of my garden. And if I'm not taking care of my garden, then I'm not taking care of myself. And that was a big lesson. So to go back to just imposter syndrome or anything that I'm feeling negative about or about myself or about a situation, it comes down to I just got to get my hands in the dirt, um, and feel the earth between my fingers and be able to say, okay, for instance, I took out a whole, I mean, I had to work on a whole fence row, knotted, vines and weeds and so I would pull all those out and I would leave them for a day or two because I would look at it and I'm a processor. So I would have to process what exactly am I working on. And then when I was through with that, then I would haul it to the street so it could be taken off by the city. So being outside, providing a space for the bees to come in, the birds, the hummingbirds, it has to be a place where I'm reconnecting and I'm allowing myself to acknowledge, and feel my own feel secure in my own intuitive abilities, my energetic space, and, being able to be that or experience that or allow myself that time, then it allows me to go and be brave in other areas of my life. So,
I appreciate this. I want to keep playing with this idea here and playing into to some of this. Jackie, I'd like to come to you because I'm also really curious about the docuseries here. Like, let's not introduce any self-doubt if it's not present. But you did say earlier that you're continuing to level up your game, you're continuing to step on your edge, and typically I find like that comes with some questions of self. So do us a favor, do us two things. One, just give us like a quick like rundown of the docuseries, like what are you creating with it? And then two, like let us know if you don't like we're gonna see the finished product of it all. But I'm really curious about like what's working through you in the process of making this thing come to life.
It's such a great question. Thank you so much for asking. So the docuseries is called The Frequency of Miracles. It is going to be 3 films looking at the intersection of science and spirituality. Things like the universal brain, understanding the mind and the brain as part of the cosmos. So we'll have some cosmologists speaking about that, some neuroscientists talking about how we can use the mind to train the brain. That's part of my teaching, actually. There's a difference between your mind and the brain. So, what we get to is that we all have the capacity to create and live inside of the domain of miracles. And how you do that is through connecting with higher mind, the mind that orchestrates the universe, the mind that had the sun come up this morning and we don't wonder whether or not it's going down tonight. The universe operates in intricate order, and so can our lives. And just the amount of miracles that have been happening throughout the entire process have been just stunning. So the more you put yourself in that thought process and emotional space of living in the domain of miracles, the more miracles that come. So it's a film about helping people understand how to master their inner world. I call it belief, emotion, attitude, and thought. I say your beat, B-E-A-T, belief, emotion, attitude, and thought creates your vibe that creates your life. So that's what the film is about. Films, it's again, a docuseries of 3 different films. My process, oh gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never made a film before. So I'm working with someone who is two other people who are film producers, have experience in that. But I was just filmed on Saturday for one of my segments. And I followed a woman who's got, just millions of followers on Instagram. She's doing retreats all around the world. Her name is Marissa Peer. And I followed her. So I really had to manage my inner world of belief, emotion, attitude, and thought to bring my A game. And that was really what I did. For me, the work is about getting my psychological ego out of the way, that inner voice that says, no, you can't. Who do you think you are? You don't have anything to say. Oh, look at her. She's got all of this going on in her business. To put all of that aside, understanding that that is part of the human design. Everyone has it. So I disempower that voice and I ask the question, how does God, the spirit, the universe want to express through and as me right here, right now? So that's my constant question. When I get up in the morning, when I take on a new project, when I talk to somebody about being in the film, how does God want to express through and as this conversation right here, right now? And when you put the ego out of the way, you let, kind of higher mind, whatever you want to call it, the orchestrating energy of the universe, communicate through you. I don't know, all of a sudden I sound really smart. Sometimes they're like, damn, who said that? I'm not that smart. Yeah, and it is miraculous. It is a miraculous way to live. Now, just a second of a backstory, and I say this as someone who has recovered from long-term chronic depression, PTSD, anxiety disorder, ADHD, addictions. I've been on multiple psychiatric medications and lots of psychiatric care, 12-step programs. I even had a psychotherapist write an article about me. I was so batshit crazy. So to go from that hot mess to happy and blessed to where I am now, happy, healthy, wealthy, healed, and whole, is really a testament to the truth that when you put aside the local mind, the I can't, what'll they think of me? Oh, am I talking too long? Right now, it's happening right now. Right now, I'm having it. Right? Oh, I should shut up. The other girls want to talk. They're as important as I am, right? That inner voice that we all have, it's all the time. You just notice it and be like, oh, there it is again. And you subjugate that to the power and presence of God coming through you. It's just a freaking miracle.
You know, Outliers, I want to just take a breath on that here. Alanna, I see so close, but like, you know, I want to take a breath on that, right? There's a lot of realness in everything you said. And I want to invite you, Outliers, to listen back to that again. If there's more being said in there, and let me not even said, more being communicated in there than what was just said. Thank you, Jackie. I want to bring it up to each of you here. You can just go ahead and unmute your mic when you're ready. I want to know about a project that you're taking on that scares you, that has you stepping in and you know, my manager called it like sweaty palms. You know, we can get at least one time a day where you're sweaty palms, because that's where we are as outliers. Like sometimes we wait for permission, and other times we're like we're doing it anyway, and like we're completely out of our depth, but that's part of why we're doing it. You know, so would any of you like to speak to a project that now that really excites you, maybe even scares you a bit, and talk about like what your process, what's going on for you inside?
I'll dive in here.
Hey, Kari, thank you.
Yeah, sure. So just over a year ago, I created a Heal Thy Life Circle, which is a coaching group. So we've been going for about a year and a half now, and it's been really transformational. It's 6 of us in the group. It's just been going strong. So this year, I created a Heal Thy Life vision planner and working on a course, and basically, it's about healing your life so you can live a healthy life. And so I just published the planner, and I'm working on the course. And the reason that for me, I believe it's a little scary, or, you know, the sweaty palms, as you said, is because I haven't, like, when I wrote my first book, Recreate Your Love, I could not finish writing, like, I couldn't even begin to write a chapter unless I knew that I had experienced it, that I had gone through the process, through the healing. Like, my first chapter was on forgiveness. So I had to really dig deep and say, have I forgiven, like, everyone in my life? Have I asked for forgiveness to anyone that I know I've offended? You know, like, it was such a process for me because I did not feel like, I always want to walk in integrity. So I didn't feel right, you know, writing the chapter unless I knew that I had gone through that process. Like, I want to practice what I preach, right? So, as I've been working on this Heal Thy Life series, I want to say, between the coaching group and now the planner and now the course, it's really forced me. I went through a period of being a personal trainer, and I was vegan for 5 years. I've like just transitioned into more of a vegetarian diet. I've fasted for 90 days on like high raw, you know, seeds and nuts. So I've done all these things, but I'm in a space right now where like my blood pressure has been out of control, my fibromyalgia, like all these things that I'm also saying, this is pointing to something much deeper within that I need to heal. It's not so much about the illness itself and the high blood pressure. It's about something so much deeper. So it's really just causing me to dive in, so that I can then outwardly truly help others transform. So I think that's why it kind of makes me a little nervous, because I say, okay, Kari, where are you? And not that I have to be perfect, right? Because none of us are, but I definitely want to make sure that I'm operating from a place of, you know, integrity. So, so it makes me a little, but I'm excited because I know that it's my purpose. I know that I'm called. I love what Jackie was saying. Like, what is God trying to say through me? You know, like what is the purpose that I have right now? And what am I called to do right now? So I know I'm walking in that. So that makes me excited for it too.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Like, thank you all for just being open here. I want to hear from Becky and Alanna about, well, like, for you as well. It's like something you're doing that's like a project you're taking on that's scaring you a bit here. I like to bring this in because this is where outliers are, right? They know, one part of them knows they can do it. Another part of them is like, but like the actual living, like afterwards, it's a really cool story to tell. Uh, but like while you're living it, you're going through the entire journey. So, Becky, Alanna, either of you have anything you want to bring into the space? I see you, Becky, there.
Yeah, so, my mom died on 10/11/12 as a result of a of medical error. As a medical social worker, I knew that you did not die from a routine bronchoscopy. So that set me back. I was close with my mom, right? So um, having had that, and then my divorce, those were the two worst things that had ever happened to me in my life. So I wake up every day and just be like, okay, world, let's get it on. Let's see what's going to happen. I'm getting ready to start a travel social work contract. A friend has gifted me I'm in Tennessee, and a friend has gifted me an RV, but I got to fly to Washington and drive it back. I'm going to drive it back, and then I'm free to go and be anything I want to do. Like I can go anywhere and I can have my podcast anywhere. I can communicate my experience anywhere. And then back when I did my podcast, I created what I called the begin method. And it was the 5 steps to finding focus, clarity, connection, and letting go. And I created that as around gardening, around renewal, around shedding what wasn't that, but the fear of letting go of a permanent space. Um, but it's also I'm a wanderluster. I like to call it wanderlosting because I just finished a contract in New Mexico and I would just drive and get lost and then turn on my GPS and figure out how to get back to where I was renting. So um, I had a baby at 16 and graduated high school on time, put myself through college. My parents didn't have the money to help me with that. So knowing that my friends have told me that I'm brave and fearless, and I think that that could possibly be the most. That is not true. I I just do it. I just do it because I can't sit still, and I want to prove through my own actions. Like Carrie says, it's like I've lived it. I'm not going to tell you in therapy or in coaching or even on a podcast that to do something that I have not tried myself. And if I have tried it, I'm going to tell you exactly what didn't work for me. But the concept is I've got to break free of the chains that have bound me up until now. I'm 54 years old, and life hits different when you're now an orphan. I don't have either one of my parents. There's no one there to take care of me but me. So now I have to really ask myself, what is it do I want? And I've got to go get it. And I've always been a go-getter because I had to prove that I didn't ruin my life by keeping my baby when I was 16. And so um, my life is my own now, and that's pretty damn scary. But at the same time, my whole life right now is an adventure, and I cannot wait to 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 see what happens in that RV all over the United States.
Becky, I appreciate you. Thank you for bringing this in here. Uh, I want to come to Alana right now, but I'm feeling a lot for all of you here. Right, Alana, why don't you go ahead and share your project and what's getting you going, and then we're going to start wrapping up for today.
So for me, I am actually almost on the opposite end of the spectrum as Becky. So thank you for saying it because it really just kind of brings it full spectrum. So having a new baby, um, I am like, okay, I could do this. Like again, like also always been like a go-getter. But there's a transition period in there. And so now it's like I can get to work on time. I can also cook dinner. I can't like all of the things that used to be really simple and just different areas that before I was like super sharp in. Like I'm kind of like at a different end of the spectrum right now, but I'm making my way out of it. And so like every day, it's getting a little bit better. And I think that's what it is. For me, it's striving to get back to where I was, but allowing myself to be okay with it being a different version of me. which is a little bit scary because it's unknown and I still want to hold myself to those same standards. But at the same time, it's like, but I'm not that girl anymore. I still have pieces of her in me, and I'm using those as building blocks, but I'm discovering what it is to give 100% in this season compared to what 100% in that season looked like. So it's a little scary, but it's working out. And so yeah, that would be my space of like sweaty palms. Can I make it to work on time today? Um,
Yeah. Like, so allies, if you're listening to this, you cannot hear the cacophony of head nods as Alanna is sharing this here. Thank you, Alanna. Thank you for being real with us here. So allies here, we're like my invitation here is if there's anything that you've heard in this conversation that lights you up, that you feel like would really like bring value to someone else here, even if it's just one word, one sentence, one person, please go ahead and share this episode with them, so that they get a chance to benefit from the wisdom and the experiences really from each of the outliers here today. What we're going to do now is we're going to wrap up everything. I want to make sure that outliers know how they can continue to on the journey with you. And the way that we wrap up here is we do two things. One, we remind everyone about like how they can follow along and continue down your world. And then two, we share an insight that you personally got from this conversation, something that you want to take away as a result of this year. You might end up saying, I don't have an insight, and that's totally fine too. But that's the way we like to wrap things up here. So why don't we go here? I'll just choose, we'll go with Jackie and then we'll go with Becky. We'll start off there and then we'll continue on.
All right, cool. So I'm super easy to find if people want to follow up with me. I'm on all of the social platforms, but just JackieWoodside.com will get you to my website, which will take you every place else. So would love to be in touch with people. And, the insight that I love this. The insight I'm taking away from this time together is just what a difference it makes to be in community of like-minded people. Because I'm just so inspired by what everybody is doing here. Alanna, I remember those days when I had a young baby and, felt like I was pulling my hair out. And, I know what it's like to relaunch and rebuild. And, I've just been, Becky, this kind of exciting thing you've got going on about doing some travel work. It's just so cool. And just, it's so great to be in community and be inspired. And that's really, and thank you for creating the space. I really so appreciate that with this podcast.
Well, thank you, Jackie. I appreciate you. Why don't we go to Becky, then we'll go to Alanna.
Yeah, so I think that's inspired. I think that's, I'm going to just hop on with Jackie. It's the inspiration to see that we are on all of the different pieces, but Jackie is proof that we can do it. Very accomplished, and whether it be just decide that just getting the baby to daycare on time and getting to work on time, or me driving a 38-foot RV across the country without bumping into something is going to be, it's going to be an adventure, and I can't wait to do it. But at the same time, I can't wait to see what happens as a result of that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to connecting, staying in contact with all of you as well.
Nice. Thank you, Becky. And is there any way that you would like for any outliers that are listening to be able to reach you?
Yes, that was the first question. That's the ADHD brain. Yes.
I got you.
Yeah, so Becky at gardenyourmind.com, that is my email. And I checked yesterday, and you can go to gardenyourmind.com. And when I checked over the weekend, when you reached out to me, I had to call my hoster and say, this is not right. Nothing on here is right. So I have a meeting with him on Thursday. But gardenyourmind.com, you will be able to reach out to me there as well.
Perfection. Thank you so much. Go to Alanna, and then we'll wrap up with Kari.
I think the overall theme that I've experienced here today is just that there's more life ahead, and it just seems like it covers all the stories and lives that we've kind of discussed today. So that's what I would like to just share with everyone, that there's more life ahead. Just keep going. And then the best way to contact me, if you're on Instagram, the Alanna Thomas. I am pretty active on LinkedIn as well. And then if you're interested in some type of training or coaching, lighthouseleadershipcompany.com is where you can find me.
Thank you so much. And then Kari.
Yes, so this has been really, really just great. I love to see everyone, just how everyone's flowing in life and just flowing through like their purpose and their calling, and all the different seasons that everyone is in. It's beautiful, to see. So I really appreciate just being here. So how everyone can be in touch with me is my website is karilifestyleco.com, and that's KARI lifestyle and co.com. I'm also on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube channel is all Kari Lifestyle Co. And that's again KARI Lifestyle Co. And that's how they can reach me. Yeah,
Well,
thank you.
thank you for letting us all like be reached by you. Thank you for sharing your experiences, and thank you for like living the life of an outlier already, so that we can come in and have this conversation here. I appreciate you all, and thank you again for being so generous with your time and your experiences. Be well.
Thank you.